Greetings and welcome, Internet, to Parsing John. Today we are in Chapter 1, Verse 13 of the Greek. This is the last verse of this section, so our next video after we take a look at the Latin verse, we're going to be comparing our Latin of verses 6 through 10, and then there's probably going to be, I'm probably going to break it up into two videos so that we can cover 11 through 13, comparing the Greek and Latin there. All right, we've got our Greek rubric in front of us. This is everything that we're looking for as we parse our words. I'm going to put that off to the side. See if there's enough room down here to keep it just barely visible. All right, first things first, let's read aloud. Hoi uk ex haimaton ude ek thelematos sarkos ude ek thelematos andros ala ek theu egenethesan. That is a hard word. Okay, so in our first clause, which is going to be ho through ude, we want to find our verb or our subject as we take a look at our available words. We got ho uk ex haimaton ude. Don't see any verb until we get all the way down to the end there. So we're going to tackle egenethese. I'm going to try that again. Egenethesan first. All right, so first thing that we notice about this one is we got theta, eta here, which is an indicator that we have a aorist passive or possibly a future passive, future perfect passive. I forget which are the two, but we've got the ending san, which tells us that it is actually aorist. It's going to be third person and plural aorist, as I said, passive, and it is indicative. No particularly special subjunctive clause or optative clause going on here. And this one means begit, born. Genao is the present form. It's of having children normally. So since we have aorist and passive, our translation would be they were begotten. And yeah, that's with two T's. So my notes say. All right. So we're going to leave out our subject for a moment, go back to the beginning of our clause. We've got hoi there, and hoi works wonderfully as a subject. It could be from ho, he, to, the ones with the accents, which would make them relative pronouns. Not relative, whatever they are. Okay, so this is going to be a nominative plural masculine, and it means who or those. I'm going to go with let's go with who for now. Who were begotten. Should probably add the were in there. Okay, uk is a adverb meaning not, so it's going to negate this verb. Who were not begotten. Here we've got a prepositional phrase, ex, and ex takes the genitive. This is going to probably be another genitive of source with ek, as we had brain failure here at some point earlier. So we take a look ahead, we've got another negative there, so a prepositional phrase ends at this point. You've got on, which is clearly a genitive plural, and haima is neuter, and that means not from as in source, blood, probably meaning something along the lines of family tree, heritage. Okay, then we would repeat our subject with this next clause because we don't have a nominative in here. This is going to be a genitive. This is also going to be a genitive. They don't look like it, but they are thirds, so kind of have to be genitives. So we repeat ho up here. Who were begotten. Again, not. Another source from. Thelematos sarkos, our prepositional phrase, is either going to end here or end here. Since these are both nouns, we can't tell for certain until we try to organize them in English and see which one sounds the most likely. So we've got os, that is a genitive, and it is singular. And this one, I believe, thelema, thelematos, that sounds like a neuter. And sarkos, sarkos, that is genitive, singular also. And I believe this noun is actually feminine. We don't have any adjectives to modify either of these within this clause. So now we just plug them both in as the object of the preposition and have the other one operating as a genitive of possession and see which one makes the most sense. Not from the flesh of the will. That doesn't make much sense. Not from the will of the flesh, however, does make a little bit more sense in English. So that one is the more likely of the two options for translation. This is closer to our prepositional phrase, to our preposition, and this one is further from it. And since these are both genitives, then it makes more sense for the reader's sake to actually have the possessive genitive be away from the preposition and the non-possessive genitive be closer to the preposition. So if you recall, whenever a genitive owns a prepositional phrase, it will occasionally appear in the middle of them. However, this doesn't work very well when your preposition like ek here or ex here takes a genitive in its object. It's better that you move the possessive one out of there to avoid confusion. So at least that logic fits with this being the possessor and this one being the object. Now, before we move on to our next negative clause, this is a very interesting little clause right here, which can throw a wrench in a lot of ideas people have about salvation. I'll try not to comment too much on those, but this word here means will, desire, or wish. Desire is one of its much lower translations. It's far less frequent. Will or desire is will or wish are the two more common ways that we would translate this word, if memory serves me. And I think here that it does. And anyway, this is gonna run right up in the face of the idea of free will. What that actually means. If you want to look more into that, I would suggest taking a look at what Martin Luther had to say about that, and Martin Chemnitz, I want to say. So anyway, we can move forward. Not from the will of the flesh. Put the ofs there. And remember, this is also most likely a source. From will of flesh. Probably make these nors, actually. Nor another probable source here, prepositional phrase. Got two genitives again. Genitive. Or from telematos andros. Since this one was the object of the preposition, it makes most sense that this one is also going to be the object of the preposition. But again, we want to try them both in context. This is the same as that one, so I'm going to leave that blank. This is os aner andros, genitive, singular, and masculine. So our two options are nor from the will of man, or nor from the man of will. Clearly the first option makes the most sense. Of man, and since we got a singular here, this is probably going to be in reference to man as in mankind rather than to a very specific man. We also don't have an article there, so mankind. Not going to have that as part of our official translation, but have that down there at least for our notes as probable of what this means. Okay, that means our prepositional phrase ends here. Allah, that was an alpha most likely there that dropped out. We don't need the word other, so this is going to be but, ek, theu, and then our verb. This one's pretty easy. There's no second genitive to throw us off. Singular and masculine. From God. No article there. This is, again, most likely going to be source, as we've seen the past few and that one from earlier. Okay, so our translation from beginning to end of verse 13 is, who were not begotten from blood, nor from will of flesh, nor from will of man, but were begotten from God. And this is, of course, in context with verse 11 and 12. So I'm going to read them all together. Okay. He came into his own, and his own did not receive him. But as many as received him, he gave to them power to become children of God. To those believing, we forgot to write in up here, sorry. into the to part is optional, in the name of him, who were not begotten from blood, nor from will of flesh, nor from will of man, but from God. Okay, so there is our translation. I hope taking a look at this text has been helpful to you. And you should definitely, if you're unsure about my translation of this, you can double check it for will of the flesh and will of man having to do with free will. And you should definitely go check out external resources on that. If I can find anything, I will add a link to the bottom of the video. Anyway, join me next time for either my Latin video for verse 13 or the two videos comparing this entire section, the Greek version, to the Latin version. Have a good day. I should say that deeply. Have a good day.